Viseart definitely has one of the most reliable eyeshadow formulas that I've ever tried. I actually feel like I haven't talked about them much, but they've come out with 4 eyeshadow palettes in the past few months. So what I really wanted to do is swatch all of them and do a look with each one. I have found their mattes to be so easy to work with, definitely my top 3 formulas when it comes to mattes. But for the last year or so, they have really stepped up when it comes to the intensity of the shimmers. And that's been really exciting to see because as a shimmer lover, I love a shimmer that packs a punch. I also do have a discount affiliate code with Viseart, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it up on the screen now. Okay, starting off with probably my favorite of the 4 and Viseart's newest palette, this is Paris Etoile. And I'm sure that this color story looks familiar because this was an 8-pan palette and I believe this is an extension of that. And that extension is that row of mattes at the top. And I also feel like the shimmer formula in this palette is probably better than the original one because they've been updating that shimmer formula. And I'm just going to go through and swatch each of the shimmers in every palette one by one just so you can get a sense for what those look like. I would describe this shade as a reddish plum. This is more of a satin formula as opposed to one of their more kind of like sparkly toppers. Next, we have this really pretty kind of silvery pinky shimmer. And then we have this really beautiful deep purple shimmer. Next, we have a silvery taupe shimmer. It has a similar level of shininess and sparkliness to the shade that I just showed. And the last shimmer we get is this really deep charcoal shimmer. Love that they included this. This palette as a whole definitely lends itself to some deep dramatic looks. And here is what the whole palette looks like swatched to my arm. My main critique about this one is that I think there could have been a little bit more kind of variation in the first row of mattes. That being said, I do feel like they have different undertones, so they do have a purpose in mind. For my first look, I really want to do something bold and fun. I'm going in with this mid-toned cool matte and just dusting it all throughout my crease. I do want this look to be a little bit blown out, and then I'm going in with this deep blue matte and I'm just defining that crease a little bit more and being a little bit more deliberate about the shape that I want to create. This blue matte blends so beautifully, and that is just not always the case when it comes to navy blue matte shadows. I'm dusting it all throughout my lower lash line, connecting the lower lash line to the shadow above. Then I'm placing this purple matte kind of inside that blue matte because I'm going to go in with the purple shimmer later. And now I'm going to take that rich purple shimmer and put it all over the middle of my lid. As you can see, this shimmer does have some punch to it. Now I'm going to go in with that taupe shimmer and just place it inside of the purple shimmer, blending the 2 shimmers together with my fingertip to just create a seamless gradient. Now I'm going in with my Urban Decay eyeliner, and this is the first finished look, and I'm actually so pleased with how this look turned out. Definitely inspired to use this one more. Okay, the second palette that I'm going to swatch and do look with is the Leela Luminire. The vibes and kind of tones that you get in this one are definitely cooler, and you have more pinks, especially in comparison to the Praline palette that I'm going to show next. The first shimmer we have is a sort of pinky silver leaning shimmer. You get a lot of shine with this one, not as much sparkle, but it has a really pretty twinkle. Next, we get this really pretty metallic gunmetal shade. Next, we get this sort of champagne gold shade. And again, the texture is similar to the first 2 shimmers that I swatched. And here is what the whole palette looks like swatched to my arm. I know there's several neutral palettes, but I feel like the vibe of this one is cool toned and a little bit of a pinky vibe in there too, based on the shimmer that's in there and a couple of the mattes. For my second look, I'm going to start off with that sort of grayish matte, and I'm going to place it all over the crease and lower lash line. Now going in with that rich kind of cool tone brown matte, and I'm creating a little bit of a halo shape. This is honestly one of my favorite shapes to create. I used a smaller brush to put down the pigment and a fluffier brush to blend out. Then I'm just placing shadow in those same areas along the lower lash line, leaving the center bare so that I can put a shimmer there. What I really love about the Viseart mattes is that they are even deeper on the skin than they look in the pan. I took that pink shimmer and I just placed it in the center of the lid. This shimmer has such a beautiful twinkle. Now I'm taking one of my favorite gray sparkly eyeliners from 1999 Beauty and placing it into the waterline. By the way, if you haven't tried these liners, they are crazy good. And here is my second completed look. Really love the drama of this one, and these shimmers are just really not disappointing. The third palette I'm going to talk about is Praline Itandu, and this came out at the same time as the Leela's one. This one is very much like a warm neutrals. You can see a lot of warm tone browns, gold tones in here. So if you're trying to decide which palette to get and warm tones are your vibe, I think that this one is definitely going to be most up your alley. You get almost an even split of mattes and shimmers. You have some that are definitely more on the satin side, but you also get some much more intense metallics in here. This is a light champagne shimmer, definitely more on the shiny side than on the sparkly side. Then you have this bronzy toned shimmer. Again, definitely more shiny than sparkly. Then you have a slightly deeper bronze shade, more of a taupe shimmer, a slightly more warm toned bronze shimmer, a rose gold shimmer, and a taupe shimmer. Here is what the whole palette looks like swatched my arm. I think it's really pretty. There are a few things I would change about this one. I definitely would have included some of the more kind of special sparkly topper-like shades, and I might have included a duochrome as well. When it comes to tone, I do think you can justify all of the shimmers in this palette though, but there are a few that are quite similar. For my third look, I'm going to go in with a transition shade again and just put it into the crease. Pleasantly surprised again that this matte looks a little deeper on the skin than it does in the pan. Going in with this super deep brown matte and just kind of blowing it out and placing it along the lower lash line. Now I'm going in with that peachy gold shimmer and I'm just placing it all over the lid. This is one of the more kind of shiny formulas as opposed to one of the more kind of topper-like and sparkly formulas. I'm going in again with that really deep brown matte and I'm just blending it into that shimmer a little bit better to get a more seamless gradient and blowing out the brown matte shadow. Now I'm taking that Urban Decay eyeliner, putting it into the waterline. I also put it on the upper lash line as well, and this is my third completed look. I would say that of the three palettes, this is the most sort of right in the middle neutral palettes. The other three, I would say, lean along the more cool tone side of things. Okay, last but not least, we have the Midsummer Itall palette. We'll go into detail on each of the shades, but I would say that you definitely get a little bit more of a plum-toned vibe with this one, and you also have a very special duochrome shade. This might be the first palette that I've seen a matte with shimmer. I could, of course, be wrong about that, but I don't recall that they have another one that they've had a matte with shimmer before. The first shimmer we get in this palette is a light champagne. Next, we get a very pale pink shimmer. Next, we have a golden shimmer, but this one has a subtle hint of pink. The next shade we have is this really pretty duochrome. I think that of the four palettes I've swatched, this is the only duochrome that I've seen. It has a pale kind of pinky plum base with a bluey pink shift to it. And last but not least, we have the matte with shimmer. I would describe this shade as a sort of suede brown. The sparkle particles in it are definitely large enough to be noticed when you swatch it out or put it on the skin. And here is what the whole palette looks like swatched to my arm. Definitely overall cool tone vibes with this palette as well, and look at how pretty that duochrome is swatched on my arm. The inspo for my fourth and final look is the signature look that Not Another Hannah does. So she does a really kind of blown out halo eye. I went in with a transition shade and now I'm creating a halo with the deepest matte in the palette. And she really blows out this kind of outer portion like way more than I do. And I just wanted to sort of experiment with it for fun, with that understanding that this is my first time doing this type of look. Placing that shadow on the lower lash line as well and connecting the two, and then just making sure that that shadow is blown out as much as I want. I'm taking that really pretty duochrome and putting it all over the lid. Ooh, I think that is so pretty. Viseart, if you are hearing this, please include more duochromes in your palettes. The few I've tried from Viseart, I have been a really big fan of. For the last part of this look, I go in with a lot of that eyeliner. I use that same kind of charcoal eyeliner from 1999 Beauty. Trying to step out of my comfort zone and really go in with this eyeliner. Then I think she adds a bunch to the upper lash line as well and sort of connects the two together. There is a little bit of smudginess and messiness involved, and I absolutely love that. And here is the fourth completed look using the Midsummer's palette. I still can't get over how much I love this duochrome, like my eyes are really going to that. Okay, now that we've had a chance to do some detailed swatches and looks on the 4 palettes that have most recently released from Viseart, I'd love to know what you think of these palettes. I'd love to know which was your favorite, and if you've tried Viseart in general. I really wanted to split hairs so that if you were trying to decide between a couple of these color stories, you might find this helpful. My own personal favorites were the Midsummer palette that had the duochrome and the Paris Étoile that has the rich blues and purples. As always, I really hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.